What's up, guys? Jeffrey here. In my channel, I talk about frugality and why you should not spend too much on a car. Well, I do own a Tesla Model 3, which is quite an expensive car, but I'm going to talk about why I bought that car in the first place and now why I'm thinking about selling it. I got my Model 3 back in June of 2019, and when I got it, it was the base model, bare bones, no autopilot, standard range Model 3. I did get one upgrade. It was a premium white interior. So the MSRP of my Model 3 was $36,000, which no matter who you are is a lot of money. And even though I consider myself a pretty frugal person by nature, there were three reasons why I decided to get the Model 3 in the first place. First, for $36,000, even before incentives, it's a great car for what you pay. The performance, the technology, and just the cool factor, in my opinion, is just superior to anything that you can get for that price. Second, at that time, the federal EV tax credit was ending at the end of June. So, in a way, it was now or never, or then or never. I figured that because the tax credit was no longer going to be available, I could probably sell the car in the future and probably wouldn't suffer too much depreciation since I wouldn't have to compete with the tax credit as someone who is selling a used car. Basically, I knew that with the tax credit ending, the prices for used Model 3s would just have to go up. The third reason I bought the car is that I thought I could at least subsidize the cost of the car through side hustling with the car. Originally, it seemed like I could rent out the car on Turo and make a pretty decent return. I figured that if I could rent it out enough, I would eventually be able to pay it off and basically have a free Model 3. So why then, a year and a half later, am I thinking about selling the car? Well, there were basically two events that really made me think about selling the car. The first event was the global pandemic, basically after the shutdown started happening. The Turo business almost completely dried up. 80% of my renters came from people out of the state or out of the country, and those people wouldn't rent anymore. Those people typically would rent out longer. And now, if I were to rent it, it would be very sporadic, and it would only be the local people that want to rent it out for like a day to maybe try it out, test drive it before they buy a new one or something. So it just wasn't worth it for me to list it anymore. The next event that really made me think about selling my Model 3 was Tesla's Battery Day back in September of 2020. During Battery Day, Tesla laid out a plan to reduce their costs of batteries by 56% over the next 3 years. The whole time I was watching that event, I was just thinking, oh crap, my Model 3 is going to depreciate a ton soon. So right now, my Model 3 has a range of 210 miles. And we already know from previous events that in 2 years, the cheapest Cybertruck will come out. It will have a range of 250 miles. It will have more functionality than my Model 3. And it'll cost $40,000 before incentives. 4 years from now, I think we will see a Model 3 that has a 400-mile range with autopilot for $38,000. 5 years from now, we may see a 250-mile range, different model. We'll call it the Model 2. And I think that's going to be $25,000. So with all these new battery technology coming out and new model lines coming out from Tesla, I really don't see the current Model 3 faring very well in terms of depreciation in the next 5 years or so. At least not as well as it has been over the last couple years. And just personally, I barely drive it. It's basically like a functional art piece that just been sitting in my garage over the past couple months. Over the last 6 months or so, I maybe drove it like 500 miles or so. And we have a perfectly functional Toyota Corolla. With me working from home most of the time now, we really only need one car between me and my wife. So because of all the things that happened this year with the global pandemic and Tesla's plans for battery technology improvement and just for personal reasons, I decided to look up how much my car would be worth in the open used car market. And I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised. I looked up Kelley Blue Book for a low mileage 2019 Model 3 at very good condition. And if I were to sell it private party, on the low end, I would get $37,000. That sounded like way too good to be true, considering that the MSRP for my Model 3 back when I bought it last year, June 2019, was $36,000. I really don't understand why someone would buy a used Model 3 for $37,000 when they could just buy a new one for $38,000. Yeah, they're saving a little bit on delivery fees and sales tax and maybe some other fees, but a used Model 3 doesn't qualify for tax incentives while a new one does. Maybe they're in a rush right now because the wait time for a new Model 3 is 4 to 6 weeks, while if you buy a new Model 3, then you could get it that same day. I don't know. So I decided to list my Model 3 on Craigslist for $37,000 just to see what would happen. It's been about a week now, and as expected, I didn't get any bids near $37,000. I'm not sure why the Kelly Blue Book price is so high. Maybe in other parts of the country it's that high, and since I live in Southern California, there's a lot more supply of used Model 3s or something. But based on the offers that I've gotten, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to sell it for $35,000, which is still really good considering that I only lost $1,000 of depreciation over the last year and a half. Yes, it's true that I paid more than $36,000 for the Model 3 when you consider the delivery fee, the sales tax, registration, and interest. But after the tax credits, it basically cancels everything out and a bit more. And when you consider that I made about $4,000 through Turo and Uber, I'll actually come out ahead. And I got to enjoy driving the car around. And I also saved myself a bunch of mileage that I would have put on my personal car. So for $35,000, I definitely will be selling. So let's fast forward to probably a week from now and see if I was able to sell it for $35,000. Hey guys, quick update. The car is still not sold, but I do have an offer for $36,000. I've been in contact with someone from Arizona. Hopefully if the deal goes through. I am in contact with their bank. Been having multiple conversations, multiple text messages. See, I have a super long string of text messages here from this guy. So hopefully this guy's legit. He's not scamming me or something, and I get the car sold for $36,000 by the end of the week. So I will update you then. All right, guys, we did it. We did it. $36,000. We sold the car for $36,000. Here is the proof. The deposit statement here. $36,000. Very happy about that. We lost $0 in depreciation after a year and a half of driving it, and we even got to keep the tax credit. So we even made a little bit after a year and a half. We sold it for $36,000. We bought it for $36,000, and I even would have accepted a little bit less. I'm surprised that it's even that high. Like I said, I was willing to sell it for $35,000, but I'm even surprised it would even get $35,000. But yeah, so we sold it for $36,000. I'm not sure if he knew that there wasn't autopilot. We were going through the car, just giving him a rundown, and I was like, there's no autopilot. And he was like, well, there's the auto steer, right? The lane keep assist. So if you don't know what autopilot is, it's simply just a combination of lane keep assist, which is also known as auto steer, and traffic aware cruise control. So yeah, without autopilot, you don't get those two features. So yeah, I don't know if you knew that. I mean, to be fair, it's pretty rare to have a Tesla without autopilot because they all come standard. You actually have to ask them to remove autopilot so you can get a discount on the car. So maybe that's why he didn't know there is no autopilot, but I was very clear on the listing that no autopilot in bold. So anyways, the deal is done. Money is in. Everything is finalized. Quick run through the numbers. Bought the car for $36,000. After delivery, taxes, and fees, the cost of the car was $41,200. I received $6,200 back in rebates. So that brings the car down to $35,000. After I purchased the car, I made a couple of modifications. I made about $500 of modifications to the car, bringing my grand total cost of the car at $35,500. I sold the car for $36,000. So I made a $500 profit on the sale of the car. And if you want to include the side hustles that I did with the car, I made about $4,500 with Turo and Uber. So grand total, all in, I made $5,000 with my Tesla Model 3, which is pretty good. Moral of the video is if you own a Model 3, it might be a good time for you to sell right now while the prices are still high. I'm gonna miss the car, but damn, do I love money. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you in the next video.